Welcome, folks. Happy Friday. Hope you've had a great week. We've got a really great show lined up for you today. Thank you to everyone who entered their window light shots for us to take a look at. Before any further ado, I'd better get in. Where is it? Where is it? The lovely Stephanie. Hi, Steph. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hi, guys. What's up?
Hi, jazz
Hi.
hands. um, Thank you to everyone, as I said, who submitted shots. We've got a bunch to go through. It's kind of fitting. This week we have a sponsor on board, AZO Monitors. I use two of them in studio, and I'm literally using them to do this live stream every week. You can see them in my shot there. I shot it a little wide just so you can see them. So you can rest assured that I'm reviewing your images this week in perfect color accuracy. The reason I use the AZO displays is they have a huge color gamut, they have a great dynamic range, and for me, one of the most important things, there's no point having an amazing display if it's uncalibrated. But then the calibrating process can be a pain. So these actually self-calibrate when I have it set to do it every night. Once I'm not using it at the end of the day, it calibrates, and then you can recalibrate it during the day if you're changing your light balance and whatnot. So they're at the high end of the range, but if you've got the budget and you want the best as a photographer in terms of color accuracy, do check them out. I've been using them for 6 or 7 years now. I believe we have the link to the new one. I have the 3198 in the description somewhere. So,
Yeah, and I
Stephanie, how
posted it in the
was...
comments.
Oh, thank you. How was your week, Stephanie?
It's been pretty good. The Art School Dropouts in-house grindhouse now has, last
Just
time I
rolls off the
checked,
tongue.
I
In-house
know,
grindhouse. How
has
many?
about 46 submissions of short films, trailers from
Nice.
all over. It's kind of crazy. Last time we had about 32. But now we have like 46, so we'll see if we'll break 50 by the 31st because that's the deadline. So,
Nice. So,
yeah.
great news. In the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've been working on a photography gear buying guide that ended up being around 10 hours. So, you should have that by the end of the day. It's really interesting for everyone, not even if you want to buy a camera. Just listening to me talk about specifications and use case scenarios of different gear, I think it's going to be a smash with your martial arts crowd. So, look out for that.
Yay.
Yay.
So excited.
Also, closing on the 31st, I have a bunch of courses on sale at the moment for the last week of May. So, a couple of the ones Steph and I made together, the wedding photography course, our implied nude portraiture course, which the thumbnail is actually from, I said wedding, right? The Natural Light Masterclass,
Yes.
and also my Business of Photography course. So they range in discount, but mostly somewhere around half price. But that is also ending on Sunday. You can find direct links maybe in the description, but otherwise you can get to them all from the workshops page. For next week, I'm setting our theme as self-portraits. There's no excuse. I assume everyone in the room has a cell phone or a camera and a self. So therefore you can do a self-portrait. So it would be really cool if you went and did it this week for the competition. Whether you need a new headshot for work or a new profile picture for Instagram, or you just want to do something quirky, go for it. And I was thinking this the other day. Isn't it funny that, at least in Australia, a year ago, all the banks had a you must remove face coverings to come inside, and now they have you must put on face coverings to come inside. So if anyone
Yeah.
is really, in witness protection or shy, you have a perfect excuse to be obscuring part of your identity, superhero style, for this one. So, tell me more news, Stephanie, and everyone in the
Um,
room. How are you? Tell me how your week's been. Tell me where you are. Say hi. Let's get this chat moving.
so also, my friends and I, because Tim has been pushing it for a while, there's a MMO RPG multiplayer, whatever. It's an online like game,
MMO.
and it's called PSO Fantasy. Oh my God, P.
This
Fantasy
is
Stars Online or something? I don't even know. I'm terrible at this
so
game
nail
already.
down the specifics or don't try and get specific. Come on, you got
But
this.
it's a game that just came out Wednesday, and all of us are playing it, and it's really fun. So that's the other news, and I think that is pretty much it.
Okay.
Just been busy working.
Annyeonghaseyo to whoever our Korean friend is in the room. Can't read
Oh,
Korean,
thank you
but
guys for
hang
helping me
on.
out with the MMORPG
Is that
acronym.
what MMO stands for? I thought, okay, massively multiplayer online. Org. MMO, MORG. 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 Anyway, hi. So Steph plays games. Miss, I don't play video games, is always telling
I
me about
don't.
the
This
new
is the
video game
first
she's
one.
playing. You're a liar. You often tell me that you guys are having people around to play games.
Oh,
You're
board
in
games.
denial. You're in denial. I said it.
Board games. Play board games.
Wow, just when I thought you couldn't get any cooler. Andrew Doherty, did you do a review of the Sony V1 camera? Nope, I didn't get an early briefing on it, and no, I haven't touched it, haven't seen it. I was invited to a briefing. There was a breakdown of communication, and it just didn't happen, so I didn't know it was coming like the rest of you. So let's start by taking a look at some pictures because we have quite a few. Now, window light. I chose it as a theme because, and I was hoping that we wouldn't get all of these kind of shots. Let me just bring it up. So, actually, how can I do this? Okay, so I'm zooming in to hide some of the good stuff on this. This is a window light shot from the Natural Light Masterclass. This was on the sofa near a window in diffuse light. This is kind of, I think, what people often think of as a window light shot, a big soft light source. So for those of you at home who haven't got their head around how light works just yet, window light is often thought of as a beautiful soft light because if you put someone up next to it, generally the window is bigger than they are. And if you don't have the sun directly hitting the window, it gives a really nice soft light that gives you really soft fall off of shadow. And then you can easily make the rest of the room black if they're right against the window. You meter for the person's face and then you get the light to fall away. But that's not necessarily the case. Window light isn't necessarily soft. So first of all, here's the shot we actually took with a string of fairy lights and then window light to fill in some of that black area. And that's an extra little cheeky promo that the Natural Light Masterclass is half price at the moment. You should check that out.
Yeah, check it out.
But windows can be big and small. We're going to see through the shots you guys entered. There's a variety of them. And this is also window light. So here you're seeing actually window light can be extremely hard as well. So we've got this bright spot of light hitting her hand that's also catching, because of her skillful posing, the side of her face, neck, and lower back, which gives her a really nice silhouette through the frame. So it's still only lit by window light, reflected light, and direct lit. But here we're using it kind of as a soft light as it comes into the room, bounces around the room, and front is giving us the light on the front of her as well. The other side of the room, there was no directional light really. And we're getting a hard light by putting the hot spot onto her back as a separating element. So pretty simple. And here's another one for anyone who has Venetian blinds. This was actually in the same house. This was by shining a light through the window, through Venetian blinds, and then carefully positioning them. And if you don't mind a little zoom in here, Steph, this is what I mean when people ask about what is implied and these are just nudes. In the shot here, it may look fully nude, but Steph is wearing as much as some people wear to the beach, except that you can see her hips. So on the back here, you can actually see the little sticker. That's I don't know what you even call it. It's like a C-string or something. It's basically a thong without the hip bit. So it's like a little sticker that covers all the sensitive bits. Oh, that's funny. It's sensitive because of censorship, but it's also sensitive in terms of nerve endings. So, and she had chest covers on. So all the sensitive parts are covered. And that's pretty much straight out of camera. The direction of the light and the little extra booty accentuated shape we're getting there is because of the angle of light. So all window light, all very different shots, even though all the same lovely model and doofus photographer. So let's take a look then at some of your shots. And I was glad to see we don't have all just basically this shot without the bokeh balls as well. We do have a nice variety, so thank you guys. So this one from Bartek Rutowski, that sounds like the name of like a European art house film director. Bartek Rutowski, yes. Sorry, I'm an idiot. I wonder where this was shot. It looks like it was at an art gallery somewhere, shot maybe from the next story up as someone was just happened to be walking towards the window. It's got great presence. I don't know if I don't know. I wonder if it would even be more interesting shot from the floor, this kind of a shot. If you waited, put your camera right on the floor and had the streaming floor towards them and waited for another person to walk in, if it would give even more presence to the shot. But I like this. Any thoughts on this one, Stefano?
I really like this one. The walking pose actually, I don't know if this is a statue or it's actually a person, but it's timed perfectly. Like,
I think it's a
I
real
love the
gem.
shadows.
So I don't know if you know that, Steph. Classic in like street photography, people are always going for the mid-stride shot. It's part of the reason why when we do shoots, like what was the one where you knocked over, you smashed two lights that day, and I cut my hand open.
Yeah, I
We
remember
were
that.
shooting you in front of a graffiti wall. That's why I had you do it
Yes.
10 times, because I wanted you mid-stride, but also between the pole and the fire hydrant to frame everything up right. Yeah, it is kind of a classic since Bresson, almost 100 years ago. Here we go with Mr. Brad Donaldson and Professor Paws. Hello. Let's just go in and say hello to little kitty cat. Now, just a
Oh,
reminder, you don't automatically get featured if you have a cat, but there is a pretty high chance. So, I just think this could be improved with a string of LED lights, and then, we have a winner right here. So this is another example. Look at how hard the light actually is on the cat's chest. We have a few different situations in this that are dealing with the same challenge, but you have to look at a window light as if the light, whether it's the sun or a street lamp or whatever, is directly hitting it, you most likely will still have a hard, a highlight in the image that you have to deal with from that light, unless you have some kind of diffusion. Either it's reflected sunlight or it's an overcast day or you have a curtain or something to soften that out. And sometimes even a curtain isn't enough. In midday sun, you'll still have this kind of thing to deal with, which means you've got this incredibly bright, wide dynamic range, because this cat is being lit on this side by wherever that light went around the room to bounce around and fill in the camera right side of Professor Porzican's face.
I love the paw. Look at the toe beans. Ah, so cute.
See,
Sorry.
Tyson often sits with one hand like that, and Loki as well. And it's just kind of a boss move, but with the little back feet there, it looks more like they're in like one of those things that you lay on the water in the pool, and you end up getting all twisted up with your legs getting all like a banana lounge or something, an inflatable. Anyway, I think too much about these things. Chowdhury Kabir. Beautiful shot. What is this
Yeah.
ring in the eye, though? Is that actually a reflector, or what are we looking at here, Chowdhury? Chowdhury? I wonder how you actually say your name. Chowdhury, maybe. Yeah, maybe it's a reflector. It's almost lined up with a pupil. It kind of freaked me out a bit. Overall, I really like the toning. It's interesting that we've got this. Maybe you push the saturation on the greens because it's spilt kind of unusually onto the edge of this pillow, and a little bit around the hand. Yeah, I guess you probably increase the saturation, reduce the exposure of the greens because it suddenly transitions back here to a totally different tone. But it's cute. Any thoughts on what the model could have done differently, or general thoughts, Stephanie?
No, she's gorgeous. I love her eyes, how they just pop in this image.
Pup. Great. Did I
Yeah.
miss any others here that I should? Okay. Chris Harrison. Another one here with a sheer curtain diffusing it. You still have a crazy dynamic range to be playing with. You can see on our histogram we have a lot of pure whites there to deal with, and you'll see how kind of hazy a lot of it looks. That's even though it was shot down at the base ISO. When you're shooting wide, well, close to wide open, f2.2, what was the lens? 50mm 1.4 on what body? Nikon D610. So if that's the Nikon 50mm 1.4G, it's not great wide open. But if it's not going to affect your shot to have a greater depth of field, I would probably go to 2.8 or above to get the maximum sharpness. You're going to find that in backlit situations, you need as much contrast as you can, and having your lens quite wide open, you just don't get that. Let's do one more and we'll jump back. Oh, do you have some feedback on this one? Sorry, Steph.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that this seems a little bit blown out for me, but it's still a great shot. I like the pose
What
with
do you
like the
think? Would
curtain.
it be a little more flattering to, well, not, it's still flattering, but another option would be to have her put an S line through her body, kind of turn her
hmm
hip a little bit
I
more towards
always
the camera rather
prefer
than being
like
square on?
if you pop like the hip just to create like an angle. If you're too square with like the camera, just moving the hips or the shoulders actually creates like more curvature within the body. So that's what I would do.
And if you're going in to do some dodging and burning and whatnot, I do think that just here we've got kind of shadowing, which if you lifted that up would maybe work even a little better. Okay. So this reminds me of a scene from a Japanese movie or something. I have to say, I was surprised we didn't have more shots coming in that were shot from this perspective. The subject is still 100% being lit by window light. Just here, it's being also shot through with the light source behind the photographer. I think Cliff has enough people in his life that he could have wrangled in an actual person for this, but it still works. It's not that this wasn't a window
Yeah, it's
light
good practice for sure.
portrait. Yeah, and anyway, this wasn't a window light portrait exercise. It was just a window light competition, so that still counts. And then again, we've got this kind of green. Is Cliff in the room? We've got this
I think so.
green on the right and then kind of a magenta up top, green down the bottom. That could be something to do with the way the glass itself is refracting. Let us know if you did anything there. There we go. So let's switch back out. Dun, dun, dun. Let's have a look at some questions. Sorry, Steph?
No, Cliff is here. It's like, I'm
Oh, good.
here.
So tell us about your shot in the comments, Cliff. Um, Terry is asking, what's your favorite board game?
Board game, I would say Mansions of Madness. Yeah.
That reminds me of the, I've already forgotten his name. That Filthy Rich documentary that's just come out on Netflix. That was full of Mansions of Madness. Epstein documentary. Yeah.
Oh. Mm.
Robert Popper, Matt, your thoughts on owning a Leica Q2? What holds you back? I really liked the camera. I guess the only thing that holds me back really is I don't, well, like everything, it's a matter of what's it cost and do I need it and how much do I want it. But in that case, I love the focal length. The build is great. The sensor's great. But already owning two Leica M cameras, a monochrome, an old monochrome, and then the M10P. Instead of that, I can, for what I did, buy the slower aperture 28mm lens and then use that on either of my bodies, plus get, well, basically still have $3,000 left over to buy other glass or to not spend. So no reason not to get it. I've heard some people say that they've heard about, I actually haven't heard first-person accounts of this, but I've heard people say they've heard other people say that there's dust issues, that some people have found dust gets into the sealed housing somehow, which surprises me because it's weather sealed. I took it through the rain in Japan last time. I really like it. So if money wasn't an object, I would grab one. Ask Steph, do you have a favorite shot to be, side to be shot from?
I don't think so. It's just wherever the light is, I just model towards the light. So, yeah.
We've done the exercise before, and I'm pretty sure in the final results there was occasionally a side you preferred, but generally not so much. But it is a good question, Rico. If you're shooting with a model, again, to people who've heard me say all of this 10 times before, then I apologize. But for those who are new, it is a great thing to do when you start shooting with a model, to ask that to them, to then do the exercise, especially if it's your first time shooting with someone, to find out maybe they've never even thought about it, even if they're an experienced model. The fact that Steph didn't confidently say no or yes, it's my right side, maybe people haven't actually done the test or explored it for themselves. So you can have them do, I normally go for 9, but you can do any number of variations. So it's chin up to the one side, to straight on to the other, straight 3, down 3. And from that, you can determine if they have a preferred angle to their face to go for. And, then that shows them that you're interested in getting the best shots, and it's a nice icebreaker as well as being something useful for them. Steph, what's your favorite Hong Kong martial arts movie?
The Legend.
Short and sweet.
Yeah, it's with Jet Li. It's so good. If I think too much into it, I'll end up making like a whole list of films. So I'm just going to stick with that one.
Okay, so next time ask a broader question like, what are 5 of your favorites? And then we'll really put her on the spot.
Police Story from Juan. So good. Wait, which one? 1, 2, 3?
Which one?
4.
Police Story?
Yeah. Have you seen it? It's so sad.
I have a long time ago. I don't think this qualifies as a Hong Kong martial arts film, but I was rewatching Bloodsport this week, and it's set in Hong Kong with Van Damme and Bolo and everyone. It's it's funny. I wish they showed more of the walled city of Kowloon. I really wish I could have seen that before it was taken down. I saw Juan mention this. Thank you, Juan. Do subscribe if you haven't already. It's still crazy to see that like 50, 60, 70% of people who are watching haven't. It'll be cool to get you guys on the team. George Smith, what's your take on the Canon 1DX Mark III? I've not gotten hands-on with it yet, but on paper it seems like the best DSLR sports camera ever made. All right, so send in your questions. Ask Matt, ask Steph, or ask us both. And let's jump back and look at a few more pickies. Now, let's just go back to here. So many screens. Great that they're all ISOs, but still so many screens. Okay, so Dennis DeMart. Now, I think I saw maybe him in the room. Now, this is something we all should be doing a lot of these days. I see the mask on the side of the frame. I hope that's the right way to store it. The hand washing. I mean, in terms of a story about what's going on now, it works. In terms of the window light itself making the shot, I think there is a lot of potential there, but I think if you were in a lot closer, like this isn't going to work because you would need to physically move in closer. But if you were in, so you were kind of getting all of the bubbles and water in nice sharp focus and a little bit brighter exposure, showing that they're being backlit, you would get it nice and crisp, and here you get all of the glow, and then you could kind of potentially fill up the whole background with the Venetian and whatnot. Then I think the window light would be having a more dramatic effect than it is here, even though you're seeing less of it. Any thoughts, Steph? Does it, trigger your OCD?
Is it
Do you
weird that
need
my
to go
first thought
clean?
was like, wow, this is a very nice bathroom sink?
No, I thought the same. And his and hers. Oh,
Okay,
very
cool.
nice.
I was like, wow, that's so awesome. I can't do that shot with my bathroom.
And it looks like a DLC watch. Oh, very nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So thank you, Dennis. Photorescent. Thank you for submitting. Always good to see you in the comp. Um, so, kind of a low-key one. I like the side lighting from behind. We're getting a lot of it's beautiful tones. It doesn't really have any highlights, but I think for this shot, it kind of works.
Mhm.
Now, I don't know, I don't mean to be rude, but I don't know if she has her shoulder up or if that is just the natural contour of her shoulder. But generally, I feel like in almost all portraits, unless you're going for like a fitness shoot, relaxing the shoulder looks better. It can kind of feel guarded, having the shoulder up, kind of closing out the neck there. Having a longer line through the neck kind of really opens things up, and I mean, the neck's very sensual as well. But yeah, otherwise, I really like it. Steph?
I agree with what you said. I think accentuating the neck is very important. I like the catchlight in her eyes. Well, in her one eye that we see. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
George has a great question there. How are photos being posted? Thank you for that. If you head to mattgranger.com/live, each week I update the theme there, and that has the details on how to submit your photos. Please do check back there each week, because right now it's the same thing where I'm having people email it to the same address and asking you to size and name the files a certain way. Again, we had people not doing that this week, sadly, so your entries aren't included. But I am working on a kind of a widget that will let you just upload it directly there on the page. So check in to make sure you're doing it the way that we adjust it. But yeah, for now it's going to be emailing, and I need to get them by 2 p.m. New York time so that I can go through them, cull them down, send them to Steph, get everything set up and tested. Lovely. Let's take a look at some more pictures. Kamal Rake. So this has
Oh,
just the tiniest possible depth of field. Looks lovely and sharp though.
yeah.
It's kind of a similar crop on the last one. It's always difficult, I feel, when you're seeing I can't even think of the word now.
Hairline?
Hairline, thank you. The hairline square on where you put the crop. Because here I kind of wish I was seeing the whole head, but I don't know if you cropped it here because there was, some crap in the background that cropping it to here helped. Would have bringing it up so it just kind of ended on the V of her sweater, given you enough room to get the head. I don't know. The tones are all really lovely though. The separation of cool tones and warm tones through her clothing and background to her skin, even the earrings and lipstick. Some people aren't a huge fan of the crazy shallow depth of field, but for me, this one actually does work because you're getting the eyes and teeth in. I don't personally care if the tip of the nose is slightly out. And for me, the whole shot is about the warmth you're getting from her eyes and smile anyway. So, I think abstracting the rest really works. Any thoughts on this
Yeah,
one,
she
Steph?
seems so welcoming and friendly. So
So good
nice. I
job.
like it.
Lovely. Okay, next shot. Martin Donoff.
Ooh.
Window light. So here we go. Here, whether this is real window light or not, we get the feeling of it, and this is an example of hard light. Last Days of Pompeii. Is this? Is there some hidden meaning in here? Something about Hogwarts or Hogarth? Ooh, literature.
What is reading?
It reminds me of the smell of being in a good old bookstore, and from the line from Anchorman about mahogany and leather-bound books. Any thoughts,
I was
Steph?
gonna say it makes me think of a library because books.
Very,
Yeah.
yeah, articulate of you there. Yeah, I like it, and something different. I never said that today was only about portraits, so a good one. Now, Nathan Holden, here's another example of hard window light and the challenges of it. Here, by having her completely with her back to it, we're really just losing the face. For me, this is too challenging of a light situation without some fill having been bounced back in, even the tiniest amount, because we've completely lost the background already. We're losing the detail of the hair due to how extreme that is. Oh, spiderweb, Steph. But we're not getting enough up. If this was shot on a 45-degree angle, then I think already it would work a little better. I mean, I guess with the graffiti and the leather and lace kind of vibe, maybe the dark shadows work as a motif, and I'm just getting old. What do you think, Steph?
I think honestly the model's posing could have helped the shot a lot better, so that way she's not totally in the dark with like the backlit. So she like angled her face more towards the sun, moved her hair to the other side so the light would actually cast. It looks like it's on her left a little bit more. So that way you could kind of see more of her outline. It would help a lot better with this image. That's what I think.
Nice. Nice. Send in some more questions, ladies and gents. Let's have a look at another one. So here's one
I
that,
like this one.
yeah, very different. With
I love the creativity this week, guys. Good job.
it kind of, something about the repetitive pattern reminds me of like a, what's that video game where you just go back and forward and shoot little dots up to the dit, 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 dit.
It's like the little plane, like the spaceship
Yeah, and
thing,
you've got
right?
little things to hide behind that you can shoot through the barrier.
Yeah,
Anyway,
somebody's gonna get it in here. I know somebody's gonna get it.
so that or like really early Pac-Man, the ghosts. Something about the
Oh,
repetitive shape
see,
reminds me of
Juan knows
eyes and
everything.
mouths.
Asteroids.
Boom.
Is it asteroids?
There we
Yeah.
go. Anyway, but so again, here it's not just the lines, it's not just the shapes and everything. It is again still color theory in practice. Here, the warm lights separated out, and as creative as this is, if it weren't for the window light in this shot, it would just be almost too abstract to tell what it is. It wouldn't work. So here, I think so far this may be the most creative window light interpretation for a theme that we've seen so far. Space Invaders is actually the one I was thinking. Thank you, Simon
Oh.
Frogart. Okay, Philip Livingston, I presume. Now, what is going on with this out of focus area back here? Maybe just compression. It does feel like, although like an artificial blur has been put into the background there, and then an artificial sharpening has been put on her. Something feels quite unnatural about this. But I do like the use of the hard light just peering through the window. That's you can sometimes get really interesting pools of light that trying to create a some kind of unique snoot to make that pool of light would be really difficult. So sometimes just finding a pool and having the model move around precisely to get light and shadow where you want it is a cool way to do it. I would just pay a little bit more attention and, you know, adjust the jewelry, maybe switching it around because we can see the fishing line there sticking out of the bracelet. And it does kind of look like a mannequin's arm reaching out to touch her head.
Yeah. I think the framing could be a little bit different just because the arm looks like it's coming from the corner of the image. Or if she like brought it closer and just kind of moved her hair that way, maybe it would have been a little bit better.
Yeah. Yes, and it doesn't look like she's kind of doing something there. It looks like she's just put her hand there to get the jewelry in the shot, basically. It's kind of like resting on fingertips, but not adjusting hair, kind of a move. What I like about it is the pool of light, and that's what the theme is, so nicely done. Okay, Ray Nut. Now, I said window light, not 7 window lights, but this is pretty cool. I want to know where
Yeah.
this is and I want to shoot there. That's a
Me
crazy
too.
location. So it's kind of got all the elements. You've got this amazing room with beautiful light. You also have a stunningly beautiful model in a beautiful swimsuit, quite well posed. Just off symmetrical, but I think if it were like you couldn't get it symmetrical because she isn't, unless she stood square on, which wouldn't be a flattering pose. There's just kind of so many elements here, and they do actually, I think, work well together. The only thing, and sorry to be cropping it like it's hot, I wonder if just bringing this in a little to get those black bars out, kind of to like there. I can't quite get it exactly where I would love to have it, but something like that. Beautiful though. Now,
Yeah.
how high res is this? Can we go in at all on her? Okay. Don't see any signs of other added light. I'm guessing the whole room all the way around her has light. We can see some shadow patterns on the ground. But I mean, excuse me, I think it's a killer shot. Nicely done. Ray Nut, if you're in the room, forgive my pronunciation and tell us a bit about this shot and where you took it.
Hmm.
And William Marhofer.
Ooh. I really like that all of these images are very different. Good
Yes.
job, guys.
William took a photo of flowers. He's very sensitive, and this is beautiful. And they look
And there's
like
no
paper.
bugs.
Oh, let's see. There's always a bug.
No,
No?
not in the file set that you sent me, so we're good.
Well, this was probably taken in Hawaii. Hawaii. How do you say that like a local? Hawaii. They say it with a
Hawaii?
fun. Oh, I thought there's like a
Oh, with
funny.
a funny way? Hawaii.
Yeah, I always feel like it hits the brakes earlier than you're going to expect it to. I like it. You know, I don't know if the second one overlaid adds or detracts from it. What do you guys in the chat think? Would it be better without the second flower or having it blurred out but not underneath the flower like that? Kind of just separate it out. Yeah, I really can't tell if it would be. I feel like it could be stronger just without it altogether, but then you might need something in there to fill up some of that space. Might be too minimalist without it. Jamo Imo is offering to send in some of his shots to demonstrate how it should be done with the useful feedback that the lighting sucks. So great to have your positivity in the room. Cool. So,
Yeah.
Steph, any favorites amongst the bunch? Obviously,
Ooh.
other than the implied course, which is now half price, and the Natural Light Masterclass, which is now half
Oh yeah,
price.
guys, get that.
Um, what are you thinking?
There's so many good ones. You guys have made it very difficult this time around.
I
I don't think I can decide.
I think I know, but go ahead. You said you do or you don't?
I don't.
Oh, um, then I
Let's have
will.
this fall on you this time. You can do it.
I can.
To me,
You know,
everyone's a winner. These are amazing.
lame. See, that's the kind of no. Don't say that, Matthew. Yes, that's very positive of you, Steph. But looking at the state of the world, I think it's time that we stop telling children that they can be anything that they want to be. You know. Anyway, back on topic. um, I think I will give runner-up to Bartek, runner-up to Peter Eisberg, and winner to Ray Nutt.
Yay! Good job, guys.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Now let me switch back out and let's take a look at some more questions. Yay! Oh, and thank you to ISO for sponsoring this week's show with
Yeah.
the ability to take other jobs and get out and do things. It really helps to be able to do this occasionally for the live show. I find that a really funny question. Steph, if you had to read 5 books, what would they be?
If I had to read 5 books,
No,
what?
it's like, it doesn't say only, it's just if you, well, because, you know, your generation. They can be Kindles. Let's say they're audiobooks read out by Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen. How about that? So
Oh
it'd be
my God.
like some kind of zombie book, some kind of children's romance, some Dungeons and Dragons shite,
Oh
something,
yeah,
and
it's
then
probably
2
gonna be
about
like a
martial
manga
arts.
series. There we go. It's probably some sort of manga series.
Mami just dropped us a solid 300 yen. Thank you, Mami. I'm glad you like photos. I'm glad that you're here. I don't think I've seen your room before, so thanks for joining. Oh, and I just saw that ISO USA is in the room as well. So thank you for sponsoring,
Oh,
guys.
no.
Yes, we I hope you saw the whole judging. We had some great shots. Um, okay, let's find some other questions here.
Yeah, let's look for
Kerry
questions.
Goyen, any Aussie photographers that we should be familiar with? Well, you've probably seen in the chat in the past couple of weeks, Jason Boland drops in sometimes. He's one of Nikon Australia's ambassadors who shoots a lot of Hollywood movies. So if you don't know him, you know his work. If you saw the posters or any of the promo stills from the Bourne series, the Matrix series, Mad Max, all of those, and loads more, he was the set photographer for those. I've actually, if you look on the channel for Inside the Photographer's Studio, I interviewed like maybe a dozen or more outstanding Australian photographers in person and sometimes via a video link. And we show their work and talk about their whole story. There's a bunch of great guys in there. Rico West, I often tell people to put their fingertips together instead of apart. What do you think?
I don't know. I wish I could see like an example, but I feel like I don't know. I think apart makes the most sense to me. Just slightly apart. I'm not saying like super yeah in your face,
Like
but
throwing
just
gang signs?
natural hand positions. I still think the whole thumb in your palm and then resting it. Yeah.
Oh wow! I really thought we'd just blow up with donations as soon as I started hitting my poses, but nothing. What a
Ooh.
surprise.
I know, come on, guys.
Reminder, folks, if that wasn't inspiration enough, I'll just remind you, this next week's theme is going to be self-portraits. It's not a beauty contest. It's not going to go to the most ruggedly handsome or most beautiful or, you know, the one who has the zaniest mask. It's going to be what's a cool portrait, what's been put together with some thought and carefully shot. So yeah, don't be shy. Get in there. I mean, look how I look. I'm still putting my face out there. Alexandru, Tamron 90mm f2.8 VC USD. Is it a good choice for the D5300 for dental photography? I feel like I've answered. If it wasn't you, it was someone else asking about macro setups for dentists recently, and I joked that I thought you guys all shot with Leicas. Boom. Tsh. Sure, I mean, that's going to get you technically 1.5 times macro because it's APS-C. The Tamron is a great lens. You just want to think about your working distance. I don't know, are you like trying to get a tooth or what? Maybe a longer focal length is good so you have a better chance for filling their mouth up with light. Or conversely, going for something zany like the Laowa 2x 24mm probe lens that will let you basically pop a thing in their mouth that has a ring light and you can get right up on 2 teeth and fill the whole sensor up. Well, this is just mean-spirited and I'm sure you're going to draw a mental blank, Steph, but I'll ask it anyway. Steph, what's the ugliest... Oh, sorry. Let me read it in proper broken English like this UK resident wrote. What was the most ugliest pose you seen Matt strike? Or stike. What have you been drinking, 101 blog? Sheesh, you guys invented the language. Most of you can't even speak it. It's like you type in your accent. Sorry, Steph. He was saying something about rugged good looks?
Actually, it's funny because I was like looking through my old photos the other day and I found pictures that you took of yourself because you just like you just took a bunch of selfies and I was like, oh, I forgot about these.
101 blog
They're
will
actually
have had
pretty good.
those on his phone as well. He's traveled with me. Whenever someone leaves their phone unlocked, they get a whole dose of Maddie selfies.
Yeah.
Shy. This guy, shy. Let's see what other questions we have here. Da, 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 da. Steph, do you use still photos for art school dropout films, or is it just a pull from the video?
Oh, depending on the production, if it's of a larger production like a feature film or web series, we try to actually, plan a photo shoot. Whereas our smaller productions, we actually pull it from the video because when it's just Joey and I behind the camera, or one of us behind the camera and he's in front or I'm in front, we basically don't have enough hands on deck to be able to have a behind the scenes photographer or just extra hands in general. So typically we just pull from the video. So yeah.
There you go. Richie Collins. Matt, is the Canon M50 still worth for beginner video? For video, if you're going to go manual focus and you don't mind that you're not buying into a whole ecosystem, then sure. It's actually crazy. Going through and making this gear guide over the last couple of weeks, when you sitting down and looking at all of the offerings from all of the brands all at once, you might know that these ranges existed, but when you see it all laid out as kind of a diagram of what needs to be filmed and talked about, you get a different perspective on it. And it's crazy to think that, let's say Nikon did their series of mirrorless that was a tiny little sensor, but pretty fantastic. And then there are people who want mirrorless to be as small as possible, and that was it, but it wasn't a hit. And Canon built out this full M mirrorless system that wasn't much of a hit, but now everyone was waiting for full frame. But it's kind of hilarious that Sony has now strided ahead with their first mover advantage of, not waiting around 3 or 4 years shit talking. They actually just got to work. And now, because they have such a developed market of users, their APS-C cameras are popular in the same way that APS-C DSLRs were as second bodies for people. So they've kind of struck this awesome balance, and now the M system, I don't see Canon developing a lot of new stuff for that in the future. They're going to put their attention on the R line, I think. Jamo says he likes my eye makeup. Thanks for that. Good to see you being positive for a change.
Yeah, it looks very nice today.
Thank you. I've been working on it. There's a lot of great tutorials out there. Check out Tina Yong, for example. This doesn't just happen. Jones Co. Hey, you two beautiful people. Aww. Any tips on overcoming creative blocks in lockdown? Should the most beautiful go straight off the bat, or I'll just
you can go.
So I think it's the same as anything else, except that here you're limited to doing things virtually, virtually basically. For the best way that I find to get over creative blocks in general, whether it's problem solving, something in your office, whatever your job is, or in your photography, is to collaborate. And it's something that I know for myself, and I think for other people, can be intimidating at first to think, okay, I'm going to get a lovely model in and we're going to shoot, but I don't know if I want a wardrobe stylist or a this or a that or a this or a that on set or friends, because I have enough to deal with without having all of these different opinions. But actually, all of those different opinions are great food for thought. And even if, in the end you don't incorporate them all, or it doesn't work out exactly how you had envisaged it, you can absolutely learn from other people. And I mean, for sure, I have learned different things from Steph, and I hope she has from me too, whether it's little posing things or how to, creative things, but also when the shit's hitting the fan and someone hasn't shown up for a workshop or whatever, having more people around, you can see, oh, that's how they reacted in this situation. Well, I definitely won't do it that way in the future. Or I can see that I could take some of that on board, or, I've gone off on a tangent now, but one of my favorite mottos for trying to be positive is to take the good from everyone. Whatever it is, no matter what the situation is, there's some good lesson to be learnt there, and that's not, total BS silver lining. It could be seeing how that person reacted. I can see that occasionally I've had elements of that, and it's just not effective. That's a good lesson to take from this, that I shouldn't take that on. Or that guy's a total asshole, but he gets results in this way, and I could take on aspects of that and try and leave the asshole part behind, So anyway, that totally went off on a tangent. But for me, it would be that. So in a virtual situation where you're in lockdown, then, trying to collaborate with people, set things up. I know some people in the room, for example, who are right now speaking, there's a lot more to photography than old white guys and pretty young models. Whatever it is, it could be you and your buddies who go to do landscapes or whatever it is. But this example I have in mind is, sorry, my friend, but an old white guy and pretty young models, who is currently setting up shoots and creating mood boards for when this all ends. They'll have a bunch of shoots lined up to go and collaborate with people in a safe way and blah, blah, blah. But that is a great way, I think, to stay creative, is to get ahead on the planning for future stuff. So Steph and I have already talked about a bunch of different trips we're going to try and do, and courses we're going to try and make, and shoots and videos. And it's going to start small with a 1 hour meeting to do a basic YouTube video and hopefully build its way up. again to traveling the world. So, yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
much covered it all.
No, you
Yeah,
give
I
an
think it
answer.
applies for I mean, I think it applies to everybody, though. It's like during this time while we're all quarantined and we're kind of forced to stay at home, it's a great time for us to take a moment and reflect upon ourselves, what we want to do, and kind of, define what it is that you're trying to do with photography or whatever art that you're going into. So, like, even now, like, Matt already covered it. We're already working on plans in the future between us. My YouTube channel, we're doing a lot of things just for content and just doing like a lot of pre-production stuff, planning for future films and whatnot. And I mean, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do the Art School Dropouts in-house grindhouse, because watching other filmmakers and their content can help inspire other people to create more and to tell more stories. So there's inspiration everywhere. You just kind of have to look for it. So take advantage of this time. You should be able to like learn something from all this free time that you have now.
Yeah. And this is
Hmm.
great. I feel like we're getting some really quality questions come through today. Thanks for that,
Yeah,
everyone.
thank you for that.
Let's see what else we have. Celesro Combo asks, Steph, how long are you in this business?
Let's see, 10 years, 10 and a half years
Since you were
by now, I think.
13? Wow.
Oh my gosh, I know. Everyone still thinks I'm like really young. It's like,
That's because you
guys,
lie about
I'm
your age.
old.
That's probably what.
Oh my gosh. Okay, once we hit 27, we stay 27. That's what
Who's
we
we?
should tell our, like, well, for our school dropouts, it's just like, it's our rule. It's like, oh, how old is that actor? 27.
Joey is
Okay,
not
cool.
27. Um, I think people will know the answer to this one, but we have another one. Have you ever been hired for a shoot specifically for your martial arts skills, Stephanie?
Oh, yeah, a lot. And it's such a, so there are times where people would hire me for my martial arts skills because they're a fan of martial arts or they're martial arts themselves. But I quickly learn from, I guess, people when they inquire about shooting with me that it's either for the love of martial arts or for a very sad alternative reason, and it's usually feet related. So,
Oh, a fetish thing.
yeah. Oh,
Awesome.
yeah. Get a lot of those.
Um,
Nobody, please don't message me. I do not actually accept those jobs. If that's what you're interested in, you guys could find another foot model.
I have feet.
Yeah.
Anyone? Just saying.
Mm-hmm. He's got
Um,
quality feet, gotta pay top
and
dollar for that.
I'm like a giant hobbit. You got to see these hairy monsters. Okay, let's take a couple of more questions. We're almost at the hour mark. I think that's a nice round time. Reminder to get you to plan out and shoot a nice self-portrait. It would be great if it's something more than an iPhone selfie, but I will take anything. If it's not clear that it was self-portrait, then feel free to drop a line in the email to explain how you took it. Now, I did do a video back in the day, if someone who's in the room can check, that was about how to get accurate focus for self-portraits. If you're not using one of these new Fandangle cameras that has eye autofocus, or for some of us, it may actually look better slightly out of focus anyway.
I'm gonna pull
Just
out my old
joking.
flip phone.
Just joking. This is not a beauty contest. I'm just being a dick. Everyone, please get involved. Yeah, flip phone. Nice. Okay. Couple more questions.
I miss flip phones.
Go to
I actually
Japan.
do.
They still rock them.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
There's just something very satisfying about hanging up on somebody by just slamming the flip phone. Now it's like yelling on an
You just got
iPhone,
to
and
throw it against the wall. Pluck.
that's it. It's just not. It doesn't feel as good. Yeah.
Truth. Two very important questions related. Jaroslav, how was the sushi, Matt? And someone else before us, what's for dinner to both of us tonight? The sushi was great. So I had, this sounds like such a poor me thing, but I'm actually saying the opposite of lucky me. I had kind of my first full, no holds barred 36 hours off work that I can remember, maybe this year. And we rented a car and went up to some friends who had an empty house. So it was kind of like what I mentioned before. It's like your own little private bubble once you know it's clean. So we sanitized it all, and then it was like, okay, so the car's now safe. And then we drove up to this house that had been empty for 6 months, stayed on the inlet on Long Island to the ocean, and it was awesome. And whilst we had the car, then we stopped by some grocery stores that are out of our reach and got some sashimi and all of that kind of good stuff, and had homemade sushi yesterday dinner and today lunch. And for tonight, I am doing beef shank in a big old meaty stew. What about you, Steph?
I think cod. Just gonna bake some cod.
Nice.
Yeah.
What kind of cod?
That's a good question. No idea.
Cod.
Yeah, cod.
Okay, nice. Little cooking wine, white miso, and then like if you have it, wasabi, otherwise like some chili or something, then like marinate it and then grill it. Girl. Maybe some sesame oil.
Ooh, sesame oil on anything is good.
Right. Here's a fun fact, food lovers. I always think the best thing about sesame oil is the smell. The best quality sesame oil has no fragrance. You're welcome. It's the roasting of the shell that gives it that awesome smell that everyone loves. But it's super expensive. The best, what's it called? I can't think of it. Everyone knows like sushi and teppanyaki and shabu shabu, but there's another Japanese cuisine which is fancier stuff on sticks that's been deep fried. So not grilled like chicken yakitori. I went to one. It's on my World's Best Seafood channel. But they
Like
use
teriyaki?
this. Huh?
Is it rayaki?
Nah.
Oh.
It's they use this sesame oil that's crazy expensive and deep fried all right there, and the whole restaurant you can't smell oil at all. It has no fragrance. It's like cold
What?
pressed,
Now I'm gonna go smell our sesame oil.
non-roasted sesame. If you get non-roasted sesame, it kind of doesn't have a taste. So there you go. It's not tempura. It's all stuff on sticks. Tempura is a different kind of batter that's with flour and everything. These are normally breadcrumbed. How do you deal with gas? So it's difficult, especially, well, right now I don't have any gas for camera gear because I'm not getting out and shooting. But having said that, I'm spending all kinds of money on all kinds of stupid shit because of online shopping. I think I've window shopped about $1 million worth of watches. Not that I've pulled the trigger on anything. Window shopped. I sent Steph $1,050,000 watch that Jackie Chan owns the other day, and we
I
spent an
freaked
hour
out.
chatting about it. But it comes to a point, I get it, and I've had it as well. And at the moment, I'm in the opposite mode. I'm actually contemplating clearing out a bunch of stuff from my cabinet, looking at what hasn't been used in the past year and a half, and then saying goodbye to it so I can spend more money on window shopping watches. But, I normally go through the test, like the question before about the Leica Q2. It's an awesome camera. Yeah, I could afford it, but would it actually add anything to what I already have? Basically, it would add autofocus, and the kind of shooting that I like to do with those kind of cameras is slow and methodical, so I don't care about the autofocus in that case. So there are a lot of things that it's the perfect number, Steph. It's your web series dollar amount. Whenever I mention something to Steph like, and he spent $30,000 on a necklace, she's like, what? That's 6 web series. So
It
basically,
is though. It
$5,000
is.
is the most important unit of currency for Steph. So a Leica Q2 is a web series. And I would rather the Q2 than a web series, if that puts things in perspective, Robert. Although if art school dropouts need a benefactor and I can see a return, I could have my mind changed. So gas, yeah. I normally go through and just do the checklist of what do I currently have, what isn't it giving me in terms of features or performance that I want. I don't think you need to ever use the word need, because none of this is a need. So if you would really like that your camera did 4 frames a second more and the tracking was better, and you have the budget and you're not going to go into debt because of it, then look at what your options are that make sense to get you what you want from it. I don't have this, it's just a tool and everything has to be manual or blah, blah, blah. It's your money. If it brings you joy, then, go with the gas. But just, you don't need 10 of the same thing. 8 is plenty. What about you, Steph? You normally just ask Timmy to pull your finger, don't you?
Yeah, pretty much.
Very good.
I feel like I have a very, very healthy gas.
So many directions that I could take a joke here, but I'm going to move
I
on.
know.
Thank you again to everyone who submitted window light shots. Thank you to ISO for getting on board and sponsoring this week's episode. As I showed before, can I just switch back? Yes, I am always running these live shows looking at your images on their displays. They're the best. Before I even moved to the States and made a relationship with ISO USA, I was using their displays in Australia for 4 or 5 years. They're great, and that's a good thing. That's another way of looking at it. Instead of a Q2, I can use something that I literally use 12 hours a day rather than once a month when I go out for a bougie walk and want to have the world's best compact camera. So that's kind of the trade-off for me. I'm always not thinking about web series, but I am thinking about if it's a bit of an indulgence, where is it best to put that money? Right now it can't be on a family holiday, so maybe you should just treat yourself. So Steph, where can people submit their in-house grindhouse clips?
Oh, okay. So if you guys have a film, I should have this up. Instead, I have all of these other links up. My bad. Give me a second. I'm gonna copy and paste it. Okay, so if there are any photographers that are also filmmakers that would like to submit your film, you guys can submit it there at artschooldropouts.com/ASDO/film/submission, or you could just go to Art School Dropouts. You'll find it out there. You could learn more information. Right now we have, last time I checked, we had about 46 films, from short films to web series, trailers, teasers from all over the world, Singapore, Germany, LA, just all over. So it's going to be pretty tough scheduling everything for the premiere, but the premiere will be shown on my YouTube channel at Art School Dropouts. So if you guys want to watch some original films and original content that's not Netflix, then you guys could subscribe to my YouTube channel and join me in watching these films, because we're just gonna chat about it and chat with the directors and the creators of these films too. So it's really cool experience, and it's great networking, and I mean, it's nice to kind of bring people together during this quarantine. So that's pretty much the goal of it. Yeah.
Yep. So get involved, folks, or spread the word if you have some friends who would like to get their work shown and out there. Someone's saying, so I do have the different courses on different discounts. Some of them are up to over half price, some are less off. So wedding, business, implied, and natural light. Check them out. You can get to them all from the workshops page. If I've mentioned the wrong discount to the wrong course, I apologize. but you can check them all out at the link I just dropped in the description. So plan your self-portrait. We'll see you in a week, or we'll see you on Monday for a Q&A session anyway, hopefully with the same quality of questions that we got tonight. It's been great, guys. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Bye.
I can't do two hands because I'm clicking buttons.